Hey guys, Buckeye Bar guys. We wanted to thank you guys for tuning in to us here on Buckeye Bar Talk. Great show we got coming up today. We're really looking forward to you guys listening and watching it. But just wanted to remind everybody, just remember to subscribe to the channel, hit the all notifications bell, and that way, anytime a new show comes up, you guys will be alerted to it. And don't forget to like the video and comment on the video. All interactions with us helps us continue to grow, and we appreciate your support. Now to the show. Welcome back, everybody, to Buckeye Bar guys here on Buckeye Bar Talk. I'm Mike.
And I'm John.
Today's date is Thursday, December 30th, 2021. Only a couple days left until the new year. We're going to be talking about the Rose Bowl tonight. We've had some opt-outs, so we'll be talking about that. And just a couple opinions on the playoff games and maybe some of the, we'll give out some score predictions for those and the Rose Bowl, and just get on ready for these last couple games. Bowl season has been a big uneventful crapola this year. There's a bunch of games canceled, and I mean, we are in another influx of COVID, so it's been definitely a weird couple weeks this has all been. So
yeah, I mean, that's like you said. I mean, that's just, you got a lot of COVID's coming back around, so we've had a lot of cancellations going on. I don't know. I mean, some of the games I was looking forward to just because I like having bowl games to watch, and I'm on paternity leave right now, so I want to watch these games, and they're getting canceled. But then it's like you don't really have any time.
No,
I found that out very easily, or very quickly, that when you have a 2-year-old and a newborn, you have no time. So I don't know how many of these bowl games I would have actually been watching anyways.
Yeah. Well, going off of that, congratulations. I got a niece this what was it, last week?
Last Monday.
Yeah, last Monday. Yeah.
Yes. Little Mia. Yeah.
Little Mia. So Jackson and Mia, we were very pleased in the family. So it's been a fun couple weeks here for the fam. So it's always good.
Holidays were nice.
Yeah, holidays were very nice. So it's just been actually been like I said earlier, kind of feels like off the air, kind of feels like 10 years since we did our last episode, but it's only been a couple weeks. So it's a lot of stuff has been packed in there in these couple weeks. And
I think it's a lot of it's weird timing of the year, that's like, because we took a break like a week or whatever off, and then there was really no game there, at least no Buckeye game.
Yeah.
It was right after the Heisman ceremony, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So we missed some time on that. And then you really, like you said, we've had a couple bowl games where they haven't been anything spectacular. And outside of that, I mean, so many of them have been canceled. So it has felt kind of weird.
Yeah.
Taking our time on these last couple episodes.
Yeah. Well, just real quick, before we get into the our thoughts on just the opt-outs and the NFL draft stuff. This made me just think about it as this, I really do think that I know some of the traditionalists, some of the other Buckeye fans, there's been Buckeye fans on Twitter, saying that 4 is fine, all this stuff. They desperately need an expansion because the bowl games have just lost. Like, I can't even remember, and it's sad. Like, I mean, I'll be up for the game. I'm going to watch the game. I'm going to enjoy the game, but it's just like, I don't remember the last time I've like not really been like, I've been just been, ugh. And I know part of that's because of the Michigan loss that, I mean, I care, but it's like, like I was just I just kind of forgot that they play in 2 days. Like, and
yeah, I mean, I want to win, and I want to win big. At the same time, though, I'm happy. You're gonna get some younger guys getting some meaningful reps because they haven't yet in their career. So that's going to be really big for them. I'm going to be very excited to see them. Win or lose. I mean, obviously you could lose, especially when you're missing a lot of key players.
I think that's kind of the biggest thing I'm kind of looking forward to right now is just seeing some of the different receivers and a couple of the different players everywhere else, because and I definitely don't want to be embarrassed. So, and I know after the Michigan game, Utah is a tough team and all that stuff. So I don't want to get embarrassed. But like, I just don't know necessarily how to explain it. I don't want to say that I'm uninterested about the game. It's just these bowl games are just not doing it for me anymore. And maybe that's just now in the era that we are in that, everything is just so dedicated to the playoffs that it does feel like if you don't make the playoffs, it's even under the BCS, like those bowl games were exciting. I mean, you got okay, if you didn't make it into the top two, it sucked. And there was a lot of years Ohio State was close and they didn't get in, but it's like, you still go out to the Fiesta Bowl and play Notre Dame, or you play, Texas and that Fiesta Bowl. You a big game against Oregon and, the Rose Bowl, and you have Arkansas in the Sugar Bowl. So there were some fun games during that stretch, that weren't not the, national championship games. So I don't know. I think the expansion is, as much as I know that probably in a coach's mind, like as much as they want to be into the playoffs, that I'm sure they loved having these 15 extra practices where you could kind of do a couple of different things that you really couldn't do in a playoff 15 practices.
Yeah.
Because, you're getting other guys reps and different things like that. So I get that's needed practice and all that stuff, but just my thoughts on it that, I'm kind of ready for an expansion just because, I want to see playoffs.
I mean, if you look at like two of the New Year's Six games, so you got the Peach Bowl, which is actually on tonight. The top player on each of those teams is sitting today.
Mhm.
Pickett and Walker are both not playing. And then you got the Rose Bowl on Saturday and Olave and Wilson. I mean, arguably the two best players in the game, both for Ohio State, they're both not going to play. So yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with that. I mean, I think now's the time for expansion. And I get the argument that you don't have 8 teams or 12 teams or 16 teams, whatever the final number may be. You don't have that many guys that, are ready or able to actually win the championship. But at the same time, like,
I think
you don't want the best, like, what's the lure, or the allure of like, of the game tonight when the two best players, one on each team, which one was actually in New York as a Heisman finalist, the other one should have been. Like, what's going to make people want to turn that game on that neither one of them are playing?
Yeah.
Like it's Pitt and Michigan State. I realize they probably both have, loyal fan bases.
Yeah.
But outside of that, who wants to watch that when the two best guys aren't playing?
And yeah, I agree. And for the longest time, I've said that the most I ever wanted an expansion was 8 at the most. And I was more like kind of that 6 that,
I actually like 6
that, get the 5 conference champions in there and find one at large. And if it's Notre Dame, it's Notre Dame. That's kind of been my opinion on it. Or maybe take the 5 best conference champions, unless Notre Dame is one of those 5, then maybe knock the 5th. I mean, and then have 2 or whatever, 1, but it would still be 1 at large. So, I mean, that's kind of like been like my thought on some of that stuff. But like this year was kind of like the first year where there was even with you didn't really get that same fill with the top teams, maybe outside of Alabama. I mean, Georgia, we said all year that if Georgia goes up against a legitimate team, they could be in trouble. And, and as much as that defense was good, their offense was just never impressing. And I still kind of feel that way about these teams. I mean, there's still things about Alabama, I think if they got the right team, could exploit a lot about them. And so this was like the first year where we're like, man, an 8-team minimum playoff might be like not a bad thing. You could possibly push this to 12. And I think now with the transfer portal, I do think some of the talent around the country is going to start getting spread out a little bit more. So like it might still be the Alabama, Ohio State, Georgia's, Clemson's of the world that might get the best recruiting classes. But we're seeing these kids now jumping ship. And after a year, 2 years, where it'd be like, all right, I'm going to go somewhere else. And so I think that when you add transfers now into the mix, that you can get some really interesting playoffs now going a little deeper. So, I mean, I think I'm sold now on the 12-team playoff. It's just that, I'd like to see I just like to see more football that's maybe more meaningful.
Yeah. I mean, that's where I'm at. I don't know what your final number is going to end up being, but I just can't believe, one of the marquee games that's in your playoff cycle, like there is no there is no desire to watch that game. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know how good Michigan State is without Kenneth Walker.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like,
I mean,
they have the worst passing defense in the country.
like, as we saw the week before Michigan, and that might have been the thing. Some of them might have put some false bravado out there that maybe Ohio State was thinking way too much about themselves because of
these guys beat them and we just beat the crap out of them. Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that could have had something to play.
Yeah. All right, so let's get into the opt-outs and stuff like that. So we found out this week they let Garrett Wilson like shine for a little bit by himself, and then it was like boom, 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 boom. So it was Garrett Wilson we got first. His name came first,
which that was no surprise.
It was definitely no surprise. I mean, he's been from everything we've heard, wasn't even participating in the practices, and so I mean, it was expected. I mean, then we were told about Olave, MPF, and Haskell Garrett. I don't remember if that was the exact order or not, but I think
they all came out at once because I think they had asked Day during Day's interview, they had asked him about anyone else, and he named all three of those guys right off the bat.
So none of those four, they all are opt out. I mean, Olave has been practicing. Now I don't know
in full pads.
Like, I don't know, maybe if that's just his idea of that, that's just his one last hurrah with his brothers. Maybe it's because it's California. I'm wondering if he's going to come out for a series or two. Just I
have no idea. I mean, I just and that's my only point is, like, if you're just running individual drills, like, I don't think he's doing anything to benefit himself or get ready for the, combine or anything. So I just don't. Why would you do it in full pads?
Yeah, I don't know. So it's interesting. We'll see what happens there. I'm wondering if it's. I mean, I've been thinking about that. If he is a California kid, and it is the Rose Bowl, and I mean, say you're from California and you got to play in the Rose Bowl. So
I mean, I think he just said he wanted to be there for his brother. So
yeah. So I mean, it'll be interesting to see how that goes. He might be playing, he might not be playing, but if he does play, it's not going to be that long. It will be, I would imagine, a series or two, and then that will be his hurrah, and he'll go out. He's got the receiving touchdown record right now for the career record. So I think maybe he just play a couple snaps and get to play out in the Rose Bowl out in front of his family, and go out like that, and that might be his desire. And I don't think the coaching staff would have any issue with that. But so now we know who's not playing. Those four guys that they've said, they've all declared, right? Or was it just Wilson? Like, because
they all declared.
They all officially declared too.
Yeah.
So they're all gone. They'll be heading off to the league, which best of luck to all of them. And I said this on Twitter. It's kind of like that good, the sad, and the kind of the exciting feeling that all goes with college football. That it's sad that these were all contributors. I mean, you think about MPF is he's contributed. He's been a very top level tackle the last 2 years. Haskell Garrett, from being like basically coming out of nowhere, being with the program,
he was shot in the face,
and then he becomes a monster on the football field. And then, Wilson and Olave speak for themselves. So that's the sad part. The exciting part is now getting to see the new kids. And,
yeah, I mean, it's going to be rough against a physical team like Utah, losing, arguably your best defensive tackle, because Utah likes just pound the ball at you. They're tough on both lines, so losing an offensive lineman, starting offensive lineman, that hurts. And then, of course, the best part about your offense is these two receivers, and they're both sitting down. So it definitely doesn't make it an easier task.
No, I agree with that. But it was like I said,
but it is good to
I want to see
the young guys.
I really want to see, because these are the guys that are going to be playing next year. I want to see how the running game looks with these new receivers, and how good on pace are they with on target are they with Stroud and stuff. I mean, he's going to be throwing these kids the ball next year,
right? And that could also be something that people don't realize, like Julian Fleming, Emeka Ibuka, Marvin Harrison Jr., Jaden Ballard, whomever else, like they might have all the potential in the world, but it might not be the prettiest come Saturday because they have had limited number one reps with CJ Stroud. They might not, always be on the same page, which what we saw with Olave and Wilson. So, I mean, that it might not be the prettiest at times, but I am definitely really excited to see what these guys can do.
Yeah.
Like then the other spots, like, maybe because Haskell's out. And I think I heard Antoine Jackson's not going to be there either, which of course, you never know from that. But what we've read and heard is he did not travel with the team. So, maybe that gives Tyleik Williams a couple more snaps. So maybe Mike Hall gets in there a little bit, which I think that would actually burn Mike Hall's red shirt. So I don't know if they would do that or not. I don't know why you would care on this day of in age, but it's like him. I know like Seven Banks didn't make it. So you got two freshman cornerbacks outside of Denzel Burke that, maybe they can get some snaps. Marcus Williamson didn't make it. So more time on the field for, your Lathan Ransoms, Cam Martinez's. So, yeah, I mean.
I think, and it's, I don't know if he's actually going out to watch the game or not. But, he's not on the coaching staff yet. He won't be until Sunday, but he a lot of these guys are trying to play for, get their film out there because, Knowles has a lot of decisions next year. We kind of know the basic defense that they're going to run, but, there's a lot of players that can play a lot of those positions. And so I think I think a lot of you're going to see a lot of stuff from these younger guys because, they're trying to make some sort of impression.
I don't know what the rotations are going to look like, though. You only have 63 scholarship players that are there. So I don't know. I mean, some guys are going to have to play every snap of the game. It is what it is. Cade Stover has moved back from the incredibly thin tight end room to the incredibly thin linebacker room.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting to see what he can do. I've read that he has his energy has been big over there though during practice this week. So hopefully he can make some plays. I put out there on Twitter, I'm like, how much more pissed off would you be at the defensive staff if he's like the best linebacker on the field come Saturday?
Yeah. Now is Ruckert's playing, right?
Ruckert's playing, but Joe Royer, I think, is going to serve as the number 2 for this game.
Okay.
And then Mitch Rossi, even though, he's still fullback tight end type.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm interested to see how that stuff, as we now kind of get into just our thoughts on the Rose Bowl in general. I think the definitely the dark cloud that's hanging over this game is after you watch the Michigan game and, you see what Utah is, you saw them, a team that kind of bullied Ohio State and Oregon, or Utah bullied them twice. And, it didn't even look like Oregon was ready for the game the second time around.
They gave up 38 points both times. I don't think they scored more than 10 in either one, right?
I don't think so.
They got their asses kicked both times.
Yeah. So
and you would never think that would happen 2 times in a row. But the first time was actually so bad that was like, maybe they do get smacked around again.
You would just think they would be a little bit more prepared. And so it's like, that makes you nervous. No, Ohio State's had plenty of weeks, but to prepare for this. But like you said, we're thin in the defensive tackle room right now in a position that didn't look so great when, the last time they were on the field. And now, granted, there's some schematic issues that, the coaching staff should have made a change with, but they didn't. But still, it is what it is. Your defensive tackles were pretty much blown off the ball the whole game the last time around. So now you're thinner at that position. And
hopefully, Tyleik Williams is like, he's like a truck out there. So hopefully that takes up a lot of room and he does a good job. But you got to remember, he's a true frashman.
Yeah.
So,
exactly.
There's still things that kid, he's still not as strong as what he's going to end up being.
Yeah. Now, the one thing with MPF opting out, it seems like, it is going to force them to go back to a much more traditional offensive line. So, you would think with Matt Jones actually being out there and, I still wish to this day that, once they made the move in the Michigan game, they would have ran it more in the second half. But again, it wasn't on the offense at the end of the day. But I think maybe they would have, kept the defense off the field a little longer, even though, I mean, the offense kept on giving the defense the chance to get them back into the game, and they couldn't do it. But
You know what? Thinking back though, like not to dwell on that game that much. Why didn't they run that stupid screen to Henderson all day long?
yeah, I don't know. Like,
As long as Hutchinson was running upfield like that, I would have hit that play so many times to Henderson.
yeah, exactly. So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what Utah's defensive game plan is. Are they gonna? I mean, Michigan gave them some pretty good tape. I mean, like
Yeah,
different ways
absolutely
to
they
attack
did.
them. So did Penn State and Nebraska, and Ohio State against better defenses. Oregon too, and they played a better defense. They kind of they slowed them down enough that the Ohio State's youth in different spots ended up hurting them, and them kind of having a bad offense line out there and kind
The
of being
run game disappeared.
an undisciplined run game.
Well, the
And
line was very undisciplined in those games as well.
Yeah.
If you remember all the false starts,
so like
holdings.
I expect Utah to really challenge them, challenge the offense a lot at different spots. So Ohio State's going to have to work for their yards again. And, are they going to be able to punch it in when they get down into the red zone? And,
This is going to be a very different type of bowl game for Ohio State. I mean, we're talking, I've heard different places that say that, it could very easily be a 70-30 crowd in Utah's favor, which, you go to one of these New Year's Six games, and even when they're in the deep South, and you're playing like in Alabama or something,
Yeah.
it still doesn't get that bad for Ohio State.
yeah.
So,
I mean,
again, though, you got all the COVID crap going on.
you got COVID. I mean, there's a lot of different things to it. First of all, like we already talked about, I think there's a definite contingent of the fan base that's very about this game. So I don't think it really sparks the interest. Maybe if it would have been in past. California is one of the most strictest, virus states out there. I don't know necessarily what their protocols are for going to the stadium. I'm assuming that they have to be fully vaccinated and show all their proofs and all that stuff. So, I don't know if that's got some stuff, feel to,
Yeah.
to the majority of the fans. Traveling over then you got the spikes in COVID now over the last several weeks. And, traveling has been a very hit and miss over the last couple of weeks. They've canceled a lot of flights. So I just think there's a lot of things playing into the fact that it's also kind of, I think there's, like I said, a contingent of the fan base that just, they'll watch it at home, but it's like, it's obvious that's not where they want to be.
Right. No, I agree.
So it'll be interesting to see what Utah can do against our offense. And it'll be very interesting how the offense performs. I think that's probably, I want to say that's probably where this game's going to be won or lost. But then, I go back to thinking about if Ohio State can't stop Utah's running game, if they get behind and the offense ends up getting behind in the game, does it start mattering? So, I mean, there's a lot more question marks into this game about Ohio State than you would think that going into a bowl game. I don't think I've had this many questions about them in a bowl game in a long time. I mean, they've lost games. I mean, I think my Ohio State scarlet and gray glasses, the scarlet glasses kind of made me not think too deeply about the 2016 Clemson game. And I thought I should have thought more deeply about that, there was a good chance that they could lose that game. And I don't think I did. But this game, I have a lot more question marks about than I think I've had in them going into a bowl game in a long time. And that are they really if they come out Utah, I don't really hear people say it's just Utah. If they come out and play like they did against Michigan, Utah's going to beat them.
Yeah. And Utah's running back is from Ohio. He wanted to play at Ohio State. He's a big bruiser. I don't know if you would say he's as good as Hassan Haskins or not. I was never like 100% sold on Haskins as a player, but kudos to him that
he had a good game.
He torched Ohio State. But Tavion Thomas, he went to Cincinnati. He didn't get his offer from Ohio State, or he didn't get a committable one. I can't remember what it was. Went to play for Luke Fickell. Didn't work out there. Went to a community college. Ended up going to, Utah. Has looked phenomenal. Kicked Oregon's butts twice. And, he made the comment earlier this week. He wants to show Ohio State what they missed out on. So don't like those in-state guys that have that vendetta going for them.
Especially in bowl games. I remember back to South Carolina.
Yeah,
early 2000s.
That sucked. But, I don't know, especially that's kind of like where our weakness is right now, stopping the run. So I don't know. That's kind of nerve wracking. Yeah, but you're right. I mean, if they don't come out to play, if they come out flat, they're going to lose.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yep, that's gonna be the big thing. So
Utah's got players on defense too. They got a really good linebacker, Devin Lloyd.
That's what I said. I think Ohio State, they're gonna slow Ohio State down in part. Ohio State's gonna have to earn different things that they were unable to earn this year against Oregon and Penn State and Nebraska and Michigan. Those are the 4 games that really stick out. That there was opportunities them earn some touchdowns over field goals, and they just couldn't do it. And especially when they got on the other side of the field, and those 4 defenses let them kind of drive the field and then tightened up on them. And then there was obviously much more issues in the Michigan game than some of those other games outside of Oregon that that they put to the defense just couldn't stop the running game at all. When you create those type of issues against Ohio State's offense, and Ohio State's offense is not keeping score with the other team, then you're going to lose. And so that's kind of like, I'm nervous about that stuff. I mean, don't get me wrong too. I think I told you earlier that, it kind of also feels like the 2018 Michigan game, where there's a lot of the fan base is kind of like thinking that there's going to be
we're going to lose
this game. And then they go out and, kick their butt. And like Ohio State still has the talent that, even though, they have only a 63 man scholarship roster. They got the, a bunch of kids that are sitting out and all this stuff, important pieces to the thing. They still have the talent there that they could beat Utah and beat them comfortably, but can they do it?
Right. And you got to get your stops.
Exactly. So we'll probably, we'll hit back on here and that stuff in a minute as we give our score predictions and who we think players of the games and stuff. But I think we're going to talk about the playoffs a little bit. The year that God, I don't want to watch it, but I'm gonna be watching it.
You gotta watch it a little bit at least.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch it a little bit. So I'm glad that they, a couple years ago, it was kind of stupid of them to, have the games as late as they did. They seemed like they're going to have it on New Year's Eve. They need to move the games up some. And, that first game is going to be, I think, really, really interesting. I think a lot of people got the second game circled. But can Luke keep up? Can Cincinnati keep up? And I think I think Alabama's going to win. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to say that Luke Fickell and Cincinnati is going to upset Alabama. But I just got this weird feeling this game is going to be a lot closer than a lot of people think. And that, I'm not quite sure I don't know if you got the spread up over there, what the spread is, but I think that they could.
It was 13.5 last.
I think Cincinnati might beat them on the spread. Like I kind of remember that Georgia game from last year. Cincinnati has some really good cornerbacks, and I think that they'll might be the first team that's really been for the guys that play in the SEC. They might be actually have a team that can match up against Jamison Williams. That you got a defensive minded coach and with good corners, and I think he could draw up a game plan that to bracket him some and see force some of the other guys to beat you.
And I thought Kirby Smart was going to be the guy to be able to do that, but they obviously weren't ready for the deep, the passing game of Bryce Young and Jameson Williams. I think Luke might cause them some issues though. And, outside of that outlet of Bryce Young to Jameson Williams, Alabama's really not great at anything else offensively this year.
No.
So if they can get away or find a way that they can slow down that connection, get pressure on Bryce Young, and not completely leave just someone wide open to make that happen, they're going to stay around for 4 quarters.
Yeah. I definitely agree with that. I think that they're going to be. I think the game's going to be a lot more competitive than some people are thinking it is. I don't think they're just going to blow Cincinnati's doors off. I think Cincinnati has a lot of pride in here, and this isn't like the years when Oklahoma or Notre Dame's got. But this is a team that everybody's saying that doesn't deserve to be there, and blah blah blah. Usually, a lot of those teams, if they got enough talent to compete, and they got a lot of heart and a lot of fire, those teams, for whatever reason, when you think back, those teams somehow stay in these games, and
sure.
I think they will. I think they have a lot of competitiveness. I mean, I don't think they're going to win. I think Alabama will win. I think Alabama is probably going to win the whole thing this year. But again, deja vu.
Maybe. I mean, there's. But I could definitely see Alabama winning it all.
But I think this game will be I think in different parts of this game. I mean, Cincinnati, I actually think might have the lead at different points in this game, and Alabama might need to be the one to score a couple touchdowns in the second half to, take the lead and then hold off Cincinnati.
I mean, you got to slow down Will Anderson from Alabama. I was looking up his stats because 15 and a half sacks on the year. Cincinnati's got to find a way to slow him down. If he is just in Ritter's face all game long or stopping forward behind the line of scrimmage, like, it might be a long day for Cincinnati.
Yeah, very, very true.
And they got other good linebackers too. I mean, the kid that transferred from Tennessee, he almost went to Ohio State. To'o. I can't, but he's good too. So they gotta, get bodies on those guys, make sure that they're not disrupting the run game, because you're gonna have to try to establish something, and you don't got to run all over Alabama, but you gotta be able to not be one dimensional.
Yeah, you gotta be able to run the ball some.
Saban will kill you, even if his defenses aren't as good as what they once were. He'll kill you if you can, do something on the ground.
So, what do you think? What would you say your score prediction for that game is?
Oh, I think it's going to be closer than what my score is going to end up being. I think it's going to be 42-28. So I do say Alabama covers the spread. But I think it's like 35-28 until the very end of the game, and Alabama scores something to put the dagger.
I'm actually going with, because I think Cincinnati's defense is actually going to challenge Alabama in spots. I think JMO is going to get his. I think he's just too good. He's proven it this year. He's too good to keep down. Now I think there's some friendliness between Ohio State and Cincinnati that, I think some pointers probably came out of Columbus to Luke about, different things that they would think, I think Luke could probably reach out the Brian Hartline pretty easily and get some pointers on different things. I'm saying 31-21. I think it's, I think could be a close game at different spots. I just think Alabama's the better team and it's going to win the game.
Yeah.
But
I think it's going to be a good game for it. I just, I think it does end up like you, though. I think it does end up a 2-score game, but I think it's good.
All right, the other one, the nightcap, the one I think a lot of more people are looking for.
Oh my God.
Can't believe I'm going to be watching them in a playoff, but here we are, 2021 ending. It's been 2 shitty years, but
right.
Yeah. What's the spread on that one?
No, it was, let me look it up real quick. I want to say it was like 7.5 for Georgia, but that might have came down a little bit. 31st, still 7.5 Georgia.
Okay. All right. Georgia still has a lousy offense.
Mm-hmm.
There is nothing impressive about Michigan's offense, and that's not me being pissed off Buckeye fan here like that. Ohio State played a crap defense, and Michigan bullied the crap out of them. Michigan ain't going to bully Georgia the way they bullied Ohio State.
I hope not.
If they do, then
Georgia's severely overrated.
They're severely overrated, and then if somebody, let me put it this way: if they end up bullying Georgia like they bullied Ohio State, then like I'm going to start really rethinking things. And as much as I hate to see it, like they might be the favorite to win the national title. And like,
if they bully Georgia, I absolutely want an investigation done on that team about steroid use, because there should be no way that happens.
I just don't think they're going to push Georgia's defensive line around, and Georgia's linebackers will be ready for.
Yeah.
And probably the worst thing that happened to Harbaugh and to Michigan is they bullied Ohio State around. And so that's going to be
and they bullied Iowa.
Yeah. And I just think that that's probably, even though Iowa played a much better defense for portions of the game.
What Iowa ran into was like the 2016 Ohio State team. It's just the offense was so god awful. The defense, you can only hold on and take so many punches before you go down.
Yeah, exactly. I don't see Corum being able to break big runs against Georgia's defense. I think, Georgia's a fast defense and a powerful defense, and they're going to keep him in check. And I just, Haskins going to get some yards. I think he can definitely, it's just that running game has to be as good as they were against Ohio State for them to have any chance of really being able to get in front of it. Now, I'm not saying Michigan's defense is bad. I think Michigan's defense is going to cause some issues for Georgia's offense. And I have never been impressed with Georgia's quarterback.
No, not at all.
And,
even the few times I've seen JT Daniels, I'm not that impressed with him. But Stetson Bennett he doesn't do, neither one of those two quarterbacks do anything for me. But Stetson Bennett is just, he plays like his name would be Stetson Bennett. Like, it's just, I don't know. Like, it's going to be a really bad quarterback matchup.
I just think that I don't like Michigan's receivers that much. I don't know where. There's parts of me that are kind of having a hard time seeing where Georgia is going to get their points, even though I did see some splashes in the Ohio State game that Michigan if you committed to the running game, you can beat Michigan running the ball. Michigan State did it, and I think Georgia can do it that way. And so I kind of see where Georgia's going to get their points eventually. It's not going to be through the air.
Georgia they're not even a creative run team.
But I just think they'll match up better. They all have a legitimate offensive line that's not trying to play 4 tackles. And,
and they got hella good recruits, man.
Yeah. And, the 10 best recruits in this playoffs are for Georgia and Alabama. And so,
that's sickening.
Yeah. And so Georgia's got very good players across the board. So I don't think Georgia's going to score above 30, but I don't see where Michigan's going to get above 20. And that's just kind of like my feel for this game. And like that, I'm kind of I'm saying my score prediction for this game is it's 28-13. And I just think that that's kind of where I'm at with it.
Yeah.
That, Michigan's defense, it's going to be kind of feel like that Clemson game where Michigan will get points, but it's going to kind of feels like that 2016 Clemson game where basically it's a touchdown a quarter. It pretty much was, or points per quarter. And that was, and I think that's kind of what Georgia's going to do. And they're not going to do anything fancy because Michigan will match up with them, Michigan's defense against their offense. But I just think Michigan's going to have a really hard time,
scoring the ball,
moving the ball on them. And I think they'll get their points, but that might be because Stetson Bennett throws a pick 6 or, Hutchinson, they let him actually drop back and maybe Hutchinson gets a strip touchdown or something like that.
Yeah.
I just think if Georgia just comes into this game is that we're not going to let them run the ball on us and we're going to run the ball. I don't see where Michigan beats them.
Yeah. I'm wondering if there's some point in the game where Harbaugh has to make a hard decision and go like JJ McCarthy, just because it opens up your offense so much more than Cade McNamara. I know, Michigan fans don't want to hear that, don't believe that that's a possibility, don't believe that should ever happen. Cade's a leader, whatever, but Cade is limited. And, Stetson Bennett, if there was someone that was better than him, which JT Daniels is, but if there was someone better than him that they could actually play, Stetson Bennett is limited. Like, you need to have your best guys in a game like this, especially against a great defense. You need to have your best guys out there. So, I got to ask myself, is Brock Bowers enough of a mismatch for Georgia at tight end, against Michigan that he can move the sticks enough get a touchdown or two, or at least get them in position where, they can kick a couple field goals or they can run it in. I mean, they got great running backs. It's just Georgia's offense is just so unimaginative, and they've always been. And then I asked myself, on the flip side, what can Michigan's offense do against, but I said this against Ohio State, and, Ohio State came out flat. So this is where I'm at with this. If this game is close, it can go anyway. And obviously, if it's close, it can go anyway. I think if there's ever a point that Georgia goes up by more than 2 scores, Georgia will win this game.
Yeah.
So I definitely, I could see what you're saying. The number I've had in my head, though, 28-27, Georgia.
Yeah.
And I think it could go either way. I think the offenses match up with each other because they're not imaginative. I think the defenses play very similar to each other. And I could be completely wrong. I mean, Michigan, a lot of it, they got the Joe Moore award-winning offensive line, but I think there's a lot of people that would say Georgia has the best defensive line in the country. So you're matching up, great versus great there.
And Georgia has a very good offensive line too.
Georgia has a very good offensive line as well. Georgia has great linebackers. And I just don't know. I mean, that's a lot of beef in the middle of the line for Georgia. I don't know, those guards, are they going to be able to get out and be lead blockers?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. How much of that line is Georgia's defensive line going to eat up, and then the linebackers just have
basically they're going
free reign.
They're going to do what Ohio State couldn't do. And that's why I just I think Georgia would do that to Michigan anyway. I really think Georgia's going to do that to Michigan, because I think that's going to be on Kirby's mind. And, they might script out 10 plays where, McNamara throws a little bit more, catches maybe Georgia off guard a little bit on an opening series or something like that. I think once the game really starts settling down, I just don't think that, as much as I don't think Georgia's necessarily going to have a picnic moving the ball against Michigan, I just think that they're going to do a little bit better than Michigan is. And that might just be 1 touchdown a quarter or whatever it is. But I just think Michigan is going to have a lot of trouble at different parts in this game, really moving the ball. And they're going to get behind the scoreboard a little bit, to a point that they're not going to come back. So, if either one of these teams, and I'll say this about Georgia too. I mean, if Michigan's offense comes out and looks really good, or maybe they get a couple defensive touchdowns because, Stetson Bennett sucks, if Michigan can get up by 2 scores, I would think that, I don't know if Georgia could come back from that.
That's kind of like how I felt in that Alabama game. It was like, oh, they're going to kill Alabama. Nope. And once Bama got a comfortable lead, I'm like, oh, there's no way this team's not built to come back from 2 scores. Yeah. So I agree with that also. I do think Josh Gaddis has to be careful of when he's going to call his trick plays, because he's going to do it, but you got to make sure you're calling them at the right time. Whether that be, take a 1-score game and make, catch Georgia off guard and tie it. I would say if you go up a touchdown on Georgia and you get the ball back with the chance to go up 2 scores, call your freaking trick play.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Yeah. All right. Rose Bowl.
The granddaddy of them all.
Doesn't feel like it anymore.
It's really not anymore.
All right. Who do you think, who's your offensive player?
All right. So player of the game for me is Trevion Henderson. I'm going to throw in a breakout superstar young guy, though, because you're going to, they're going to be out there. So he's not going to be the player of the game. Emeka Egbuka is going to have a big day, though, out in California. But Trevion Henderson, he's going to run for over 200 yards.
I agree with you on Trevion, so I won't say he's going to be my player of the game, because I do think he's probably going to be the best player, I think, on the field. I think that that's kind of like his time right now. They're going to, I think Day is going to do a lot of things, especially with his receivers that are sitting out. I think JSN is going to have a huge game. He's going to be the one comfortable. Yeah. He's going to be the one comfortable receiver that Stroud has. He's a mismatch. I mean, even if you're focusing all your efforts on him, he's going to be a mismatch in the middle. And
Rucker might have a big game.
Rucker could have a big game. I can see a lot of things in the middle, just because those are going to be his comfortable throwing lanes. And so I think JSN's going to have a big game. All right, your defensive guy.
JT Tuimoloau. Probably butch. That's all right. I think he is our best defensive lineman, to be honest with you. Maybe Tyleik Williams is up there with you. I think our best defensive linemen are our true freshmen. So I know Jack Sawyer has struggled at times against the run this year. Just, I don't know if he's physically, if he's not big enough yet for that type of role. So I don't know. I mean, you're going to get ran on or ran at from Utah. So I don't know if he's going to be able to be a game breaker or, a difference maker in this game. I've loved JTT, from the beginning. The kid came in late, way late, and he was a contributor immediately.
He's going to be a monster next year.
Yeah. So I think he's going to have a big game.
I like that pick a lot. I'm going to say, I think Steele's going to have the game that
I like it.
I really think that the defensive line is going to play a lot, just because their pride was so bruised in the last game. I think they're going to play a lot better, that they're going to eat up some blocks, and Utah's going to try to establish a running game, and I think Steele's going to be up there making hits and stuff like that. So that's who I'm going to go with. I definitely like JTT. I can see Tyleik Williams having a really good game too. If he gets, it seems like he's going to get a lot more playing time if he's healthy.
Ronnie Hickman.
Yeah, I can see a lot of guys that are going to really, like I said, I can see a lot of these guys are really going to be. I mean, this is an impression game, and this is going to be a game that Jim Knowles is paying attention to, and he's going to be like, who's going to stick out in his head. And I know a lot more things need to now play out after this for him, but be the first person into his brain. Oh, Ronnie Hickman. Yeah. He's one of my 3 safeties.
Right.
And, make him replace you later. Don't be coming now, having to come from behind because you looked bad in this game.
Right.
And, that you're not his thing. I can see Court Williams really showing up in this game too. Cause
if they give him play, I definitely could see him having a big game.
Yeah.
He's got to be out there though.
Yeah. So there's some stuff that I think that they could do some different things. I don't think that they're gonna. I could see them staying with the 4-2-5 because that's what they're going with into the future. But I don't think Barnes is going to be making the same mistakes as Michigan. I think that one of those safeties are definitely going to be more into the box, and probably the other safety is going to be close to the box.
Hey, Kate Stover's over there for a reason. There's going to be times they're going to run a 4-3.
Yeah, I think so too. So it'll be interesting. What's your score prediction?
A lot of people say Ohio State is not coming into this motivated, or they got, all the key guys out, which the latter argument I think is more compelling than the former. I know that Ryan Day isn't the motivator that Urban Meyer was, but I saw Urban Meyer's teams, in 15, 17, and 18 could have used that excuse that, we didn't make the playoff. And they came out there, and I mean, you could, whatever you want to say about that 2018 Rose Bowl, the end score, they buried those teams.
Yeah.
And they came out and they played hard. And I think those teams played hard for Ryan Day.
And all those teams beat Michigan. So yeah. I think there's a bad taste in their mouth. And I think that
now Tyvis Powell made a good point though the other day that they had 5 guys on their 2015 team that had first round grades, and they all came out and played that game. So, I mean, that
shows how different though, even from now to
6
that.
years, man. Like, why? I don't even know why I brought that up, because that just depresses me. They didn't make that playoff. 5 guys with first round grades. But yeah, Ohio State has superior talent. Ohio State has gotten beaten up and exposed against what Utah does well. So I'm a little nervous about that. But they have superior talent, and I think they're going to play hard for Ryan Day. I do think, there are going to be some hiccups in the passing game sometimes because your 2 best players aren't there.
Yeah.
I'm saying 37-31 Ohio State.
It's like that score. We're basically, I'm a couple points less than you. I'm going 35-24. I think I think it's going to be tight till the end, but I think Ohio State kind of scores a touchdown somewhere later in the fourth quarter to push it. I think it'll be like a 28-24 game, and then kind of Ohio State, Trevian has a big break or something, and they just,
I'd be all right with that.
and they just push it out one more touchdown and stuff. But I do think they're going to beat them. I think there's going to be spots in the game where we're going to groan that, my God, they're running all over us. And then there's going to be spots in the game and be like, man, why didn't we do that last game?
Right. Yeah.
So like, I do think that, I think there's going to be a lot of emotion to want to show up in this game for the kids that are playing. And so it'll be an interesting game. Utah is going to be no push around. Again, I don't want any.
This is their Super Bowl. This is the biggest game Utah has ever played.
For the casual Ohio State fan that just sees that maybe didn't watch it as closely as a lot of the hardcore Buckeye fans and like us and some of the other people that are just like that's Utah. Well, not just Utah. Like they're gonna be really good. And like if you come into that game and be like it's just Utah, like you're gonna lose this game. So
if you come in a game and say it's just Utah, you don't know anything about Kyle Whittingham, for one.
Yeah.
But two, I mean, you haven't watched them obviously this year, and you don't realize how big of a moment. Like they're a good team, and how big of a moment the Rose Bowl is for them.
Yeah. If they, I mean, what do you think? He's been close a couple of years where he could really make a playoff run one of these years. I mean, if he could get through the Pac-12 with just a loss or maybe undefeated, I mean, he could really, he's one of those teams, and they got, they get good players out there, and, they'll sell it to the program going into next year, being like, we beat Ohio State in the Rose Bowl. I mean, that's a huge win. So like, yeah, don't be going into this game, Buckeye fans, and be like, yeah, it's just Utah, because if, Buckeye fans could do it. That if there's some Buckeye fans out there, just Buckeye team, don't go into this game being like it's just Utah. We're gonna.
And you got, I mean, even at the end of the day, Ohio State's still the team that if there was one team that had pressure to win this game, I don't think either team really has that huge of pressure. And I think people are saying like they believe that it's a lot more on Ohio State than what it really is. Like I don't think a loss kills your recruiting, but you don't want to lose this game. But Utah's kind of playing with house money.
Yeah, the loss ain't going to kill their recruiting or anything. Loss is going to put a lot of bad taste in a lot of people's mouths that are around the program going into next year, because then if they lose to Utah, until you go out and you have to go beat Notre Dame then, because until you really think about that kind of that third base comment, then really starts sticking into some people's craws when like, maybe that's true. And like, I'm not saying it is true, but there is going to be in some Buckeye fans and part of their brains been like, well, is he just because he started winning with Urban's players? Urban left the cupboard really full. And now, these are becoming Ryan's players. Is he really as good as a coach as those questions will be out there. And like, I'm not saying that I have those questions. I still think he's a really, really good coach. But I mean, that's just part of life. So, I mean, it would be it's a long time. If they come out and lay an egg like they did against Michigan, it's a long time between now and, Labor Day weekend, play, Notre Dame. So like,
yeah, I know. I mean, I guess I don't want to talk to even put this out in the universe, but 2011, you lost your last two games. Urban Meyer came in 2013. You lost your last two games. You won a national title the next season. So, I mean, change is already on the way. So let's go out and win this one.
Yeah. I'd rather finish the year on a good note, and let's beat Utah. I think it'll be a tight game in a lot of spots, but I do think Ohio State will pull away in this game. So I think we will call it a night with that.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for stopping in tonight to the Buckeye Bar. Have a very happy new year. I'm John.
And I'm Mike.
OH.
Stay safe out there. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's Buckeye Bar Guys on Buckeye Bar Talk. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Hit that all notifications bell so you see when new content is added. And please remember to like and share so we can grow our audience. Don't be afraid to comment. We want to know what you're thinking, and we want to know what content to add for you guys. OH.
IO.